Alright, so we're going to do just example 1, the how much, how many problems. And you're only going to be assigned today the how much, how many problems from the worksheet I'm going to give you. I am going to give you very specific directions on how to set these up, and I really hope that you'll follow my instruction. If you do, these will be fairly easy for you, and your work will be organized in an orderly manner, and maybe you won't panic when you see this type of story problem again. A how much, how many problem usually at the end of it asks about, how much did each thing cost, or how many such and suches did they have. And that's why I called it a how much, how many. The strategies you'll see in the notes are listed in the parentheses. So there are about 4 or 5 types of story problems that you will see frequently through high school. And there are some others that I've added on here. They're not difficult, but occasionally you see them, so I'm just giving you information for the future as well. We're going to cover all 9 styles by the time we get done with Shark Week. But how much, how many is probably the most used story problem in all of math as far as algebra goes, for sure. So that's what we're going to start with. We're going to find the totals first. That's the strategy. So let's find out what's happening in this problem. Sam bought 4 pencils and 6 pens, which cost him $4.90. Erica bought 8 pencils and 3 pens, which cost her $3.05. How much does each pen and pencil cost? So I actually have to have the price for both the pens and the pencils. When you are doing a story problem, please make sure you're actually answering the question at the end. Some teachers, not me, but some teachers may count off if you don't answer the proper question. So let's say if this said, how much do the pens cost? Well, maybe you found the price for the pens and the pencils and you put both answers down. Did you really answer the question they wanted? No, you gave too much information. So always read that last question once again before you plug your answer down, okay? And it's just a safety net, if nothing else. All right. Ideally, when I'm doing a story problem like this, I like to use the first letter of the words that I'm looking for to help me keep straight which one's which. Unfortunately, pens and pencils both start with the letter P. So when that happens and you need to use different variables, make sure you identify or define what it is. So we're going to have to pick 2 different variables other than P, X and Y. So which one would you like to be the X's? Pencils? Okay. Always write that down so that you don't forget. So we're going to let the X be the pencils. And by default, we'll let Y be the pens. Okay? So in the end, if we find X's certain thing, we can go back and remember what it is we're talking about. So defining your variables. Step 2 is basically finding the totals. Now the totals don't mean the price of something. The total means an actual total value somewhere. Can you find a total in this story problem?
Yes.
Well, $4.90. Now I would ask you to leave some space and then put your equal sign, and then put the $4.90. The reason I'm asking you to do it kind of this way is everything here has to add up to be equal to the $4.90. And since we do math from left to right, it just makes more sense that we're adding these things together to get to this total. Okay? Is there a second total?
Yes.
What is it?
305.
Okay, let's write that one right underneath it. Now that we have our totals, what is making each of these totals? What made the $4.90?
4x.
Oh yeah, look at you guys, 4x and 6y. We plugged in the variables we need with the numbers. So 4 pencils would be the same as a 4x, and 6 pens would be 6y's. How about Erica? What's she going to have?
She's going to have
8x. Perfect. So 8 x's and 3 y's. Is everybody okay so far? Yes, ma'am. Talk to me.
Wait.
Mm-hmm.
See, I know that you put the x equals
pencils.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But how do you know?
We just made it up. If I used P for pens and P for pencils, I wouldn't know which one's which.
Yeah, I know that, but like,
We could have switched it. I could have said the X was the pens and the Y was the pencils.
okay.
Okay? Generally, as you read the words in the story problem, you can give them a variable, and since X comes before Y and the pencils came before the pens, that's the only reason. There's no mathematical reason. Okay? That's a great question. Okay, so now, when we look at this, I hope that you see we have kind of a system of equations. We have two equations. We're going to use elimination to try to make one of them go away. We can either try to get rid of the X's or try to get rid of the Y's. Whatever you'd like to do, we'll do as a class. Which do you prefer? The Y's have been really popular today in the other hours, so let's get rid of the Y's. So we're going to concentrate on the Y. I have a 3Y and a 6Y. What can I do to the 3?
By -2.
Negative 2. I'm glad you said the negative 2. Here's where I want to make sure you're showing your work well, because on the quiz, many of you did not do this step at all well. Yes, sir. Okay. No, because if you did a negative 3 on the top, you'd get a negative 18 here. And, oh, and a positive 6 down here. Yes, that would work, but look how much harder you would have to work.
Yeah, that's what I've always, I think I would do the same numbers, just making it negative.
Yeah, but you're working way too hard, and your numbers are getting really big, and you're probably making a lot of silly mistakes. So if you're able to multiply just one row, multiply just one of those equations. So if this smaller number will fit into this number, if you can multiply this by something to make that, do it, because then you only have to multiply one row. Okay? So that's a great question as well. So now I'm going to rewrite what I have. The top row is not going to change. The bottom row, every term is going to be multiplied by that negative value. So I should get a negative 16 with an X, a negative 6 with a Y. 2 times $3 is $6. 2 times a nickel is a dime, right? Okay. So a negative $6.10. At this point, if I've done it well, I should have matching variables with opposite coefficients. So, do my 6's have opposites? Yes. So I know I've done it right. Now let's go back and do our column addition. Same signs add and keep, different signs subtract. 12. Keep the sign you had more of, negative. That does legitimately turn into a 0. And negative 610. Exactly. That's right. Sometimes the OCD, you got to finish it, right? Okay. Is that gonna? I'd get the calculator and go, okay, 610 minus 490. That's 120, and I had more negative guys.
Oh, does a 0 have?
You need to. I would put the 0 there because we're dealing with money. Okay, that was $6.10. So I would put the 0 there. It's going to be fine, but in the end, because we're talking story problems, your answer needs to represent what we're talking about. So we're going to be talking about how much did they cost. And if you don't have it looking like money, it's going to get, you're going to get dinged on that a little bit, okay? All right, so far so good? All right. How do I get the X truly by itself now? Okay, so that'll be the next step. So here's my negative 12x equals negative 1.20. I'm going to divide both sides by that negative 12.
0.
Perfect. 10. No, it shouldn't be negative. Now, that was, I thank you for saying that. No, but thank you for saying that. I needed you to say that. So remind me, I'll give you some candy. Okay? I needed somebody to do that. You did it for me. Please make sure that when you are dealing with a story problem, your answers are making sense. This was money. How much did the pencils cost? Would it make sense to have a negative 10 cents? No. So right there you can check and make sure you have done good math. All right? So at this point, I have the pencils, because they were the letter X, are 10 cents. We have to go back now and find the pens. We pick one of the two original problems, and see, we didn't mess them up, did we? We didn't mess them up by canceling or writing in the middle of them. I know what the original problems were. We're going to pick one of them. Which one do you like better? Top? Okay. So we're picking the top one. So I have 4x plus 6y is equal to $4.90. I found that the x is equal to 10 cents. So I have 4 times 0.10 plus 6y is equal to $4.90, right? So I have 40 cents plus 6y is equal to $4.90. I need to subtract 40 cents from both sides. So I get 6y is equal to $4.50. And when I divide by 6, I'm going to get y is equal to 0.75. So now that I've found my answers, I need to write them in a way that answers the question that was asked of me. So off to the side, I would go, okay, the pencils were equal to 10 cents, and the pens were equal to 75 cents. Therefore, I have legitimate answers that make sense and answer the question. You might want to put this on notebook paper, especially if you're someone who writes a little bit bigger. Some of you write really big. Because I can write very small, but it needs to be very neat when you're doing these so that you don't mess up a sign somewhere. Okay? Have you got any questions on that? Seems okay so far? This is the idea behind your homework. I haven't given you the worksheet yet. Yes, ma'am. Talk to me.
So back to the
Yep.
one part. So it just wouldn't matter
If
I did 4y and 6x?
No. As long as in the beginning you said that the y was your pencils, because he had 4 pencils. I could have said 4b plus 6a. It wouldn't have made any difference. As long as you identify what you're saying up here, if you want the y to be the pencils, then you would have put y is equal to pencils.
Yeah.
Okay? So as long as you have that identified, it doesn't matter what you use. All right? So, I'm going to pass out your worksheet real quick, and we're going to talk about the problems you're going to do, because you're not going to do all of the problems. Make sure you don't lose these notes. We're going to use these notes for the entire week. We're going to slowly build on them, okay? So grab a worksheet here. I'm going to help you identify the problems you're going to do today. I'm going to help you set some up, okay? Yeah. Yep. Yes, ma'am. You're going to be gone? Okay. Friday's notes won't be too bad, I don't think. All right. Now, here's the worksheet that is your assignment. You are only going to do how many story problems on this. Don't cross the others off. We're going to get to those. So let's see if we can find the how many story problems. Number 1, okay. HM, how much? How many? What about number 2?
How much, how many?
It's a how much, how many as well, isn't it? Because what did they charge and for each ride? So it's a how much, how many.
How much?
Number 3, because it says how many, so it's a how much, how many. Number 4. And let's stop at number 4 and set it up. It's always an interesting story problem. Okay? I'm at the zoo, and there are pigs and insects. Okay, it's a weird zoo. Okay. All right.
You write your C's, okay?
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
All right. So we have, at a local zoo, we have pigs and insects. If there are a total of 116 feet and 24 heads, how many pigs and insects are there? So how many of each type of animal are there going to be? How many says to find the what? Define the variables. So I have pigs and insects. P and I. So we don't have to worry about that too much. Now,
So you couldn't do P, right? Like you couldn't do that.
you can do anything you want. But watch what happens, okay? All right. Can we find some totals? Okay, what do you get?
16.
Okay, 116 is one of my totals, so something is going to equal 116, and something else is going to equal the 24. Here's where you need to pay attention to what your totals are actually meaning. Okay? What did the 116 talk about? The feet. That means everything, all the information that's going to go on the road that has the 116 has to be talking about the feet of my pigs and my insects. So this is all about feet. So this is just for my information. So we decided we would have P's and I's for pigs and insects. How many feet, since we're talking about feet, how many feet does a piggy have?
4.
We hope so. So 4P, 4 feet per pig. How many feet does an insect have?
It just depends. 6. Yeah, you don't know.
6. By definition, an insect has six legs. We will assume they're not an amputee or anything, and they have 6 feet attached to their 6 legs, okay? So, 6I. Arachnids have 8. So spiders have 8, but insects, true insects, have 6. All right? What about heads? How many heads does a pig have?
1.
We hope. And insects?
1.
1. So I can put a 1 in front of the I and the P, but it's not necessary if I don't want to. Okay? So at this point, when you look at this is set up nicely, because this is talking about their heads. You could use elimination, which I personally would use, because most of you seem to do pretty well on that in general. You could also use substitution if you're someone who is good at that. You could rearrange this to get the P by itself and then plug it back in, but elimination is usually the fastest way to do these, okay? Well, not necessarily. You can assume that, but remember it has to solve for both of them. So, okay, flip it over and let's look at numbers 11 and 12. 11's a how much, how many? And 12 is a how much, how many. So that is the total of your homework, but I'm going to help you set up number 11 as well, because students always mess the value of money up. Okay, let's look at number 11. Shannon has 36 coins in her piggy bank, and they're all nickels and dimes. The total value is $2.50. Find the number of nickels and dimes that she has. So, do I have any totals?
Yes.
What are they? 250, that's one total.
And 36.
Okay, and 36 is the other total. Now, each of these totals has a different meaning. Oh. Yes, this is just the number of items, right? The number of coins or the number of items. The top has value. It's all about the amount of cash money. So it has value. So now we have to build our equations to match the type of total we're coming up with. So if we start with the 36, this was just the types of items. What was she collecting? What would be great variables for that? N and D. Notice it's just I have nickels and I have dimes, and those nickels and dimes added together are 36 things. No value to them. This is the cash value. That means I have to take these variables and put their value on them up here. How much is a nickel worth? How do you write 5 cents? Every one of you is wrong. 0.05. That's where everybody messes up. So 5 cents for each nickel that she has, plus, how much is a dime? 0.10 for each dime that she has. So notice I put the value, right? We good now? You can now use elimination. Again, you could multiply through by a negative 0.10 or something and eliminate. So see how you do. You've got about 20 minutes. I've got the answers. You have to come to me with something set up. I'm not going to help you set it up first. You come to me and then I'll help you fix it. Okay? All right. Your homework's got 6 problems tonight. Just the 6 that we marked are the ones that you're doing, okay?